All right, here we go. See you later. We will start to call you the professor. This is a term that you would find most endearing. All you need is the long robes, and you may walk around thinking and walking back and forth, asking questions of those who are listening to you. This curious nature is what has brought this manifestation into place.
Okay. I'm not offended by that, so that's okay. So I just have some questions to follow on from last week's session. I was listening to the last 2 or 3 sessions beforehand and thinking about some of the points that you made and wanted to circle back on them. But before we go there, is there anything that's important that we bring up for today that's something important to know or for people to be aware of?
What is important is that these discussions, and we're going to call them energetic exchanges because that's the precise word. They're not really sessions, they're energetic exchanges. For you are putting yourself forth and the energy is answering. Mm-hmm. So it's an exchange from one to the other. So that's more precisely what you mean. The important discussion here is that it occurs, that you speak out to the universe and the universe answered. This is truly what this is about. We can talk about bubble gum. It doesn't matter what we speak of, but what is being proven here is that the universe cares for humankind. The universe is interested in mankind. Mm-hmm. That you are never alone, that you're always assisted, that you are supported. That is what is happening here. So what we discuss is really not important, and that's difficult for you to hear because you think words are important, ideas are important, they are valued. What you know is highly valued. So you don't really like a flippant attitude, but that is the truth of it. The truth is we will discuss anything at all that you wish to put forth, but in this exchange, it's proving a point that you ask and the universe answers. Mm. So we may speak of anything at all, really.
That's wonderful. I've been trying to come up with questions that I find would be broadly of interest to people rather than, as you keep chastising me for being too small and focusing on my own situation. So, yes. So, on that, with that idea of being connected with the universe, in the last session, you spoke about people feeling small when their ego is large and they feel small and hiding in their hole like a mouse. I use that analogy, and that if they can come and see, like, experience what's going on, then there's less fear, and
yes, sort of.
Okay.
We will just reframe that for a moment so you understand it completely. The humans that live in fear need a small life, so they hide. But there are some humans that will live their entire human life this way. And it's not right or wrong, it's just a choice that's made. So they may stay like little mice or small in their holes. But if you have the inclination to come out, if you have the calling, if you get in touch with your inner self, which always wants to be with mankind, it wants to be one with the universal energy, which is carried in mankind. If you tap into that, you have a hard time staying hidden. Once you've opened that up, you are drawn to others. It's as if you can't resist them. So it depends if you uncover this little part of yourself that desires to be with the energy of mankind and the universe. So either way, it doesn't really matter which one happens, but it only, not everyone must come out of their hidey holes. There are many that will just stay in there. And they are not better or worse. That is just their choice this time.
Okay.
And
So
where were you going with that before we got you all off track?
right. Well, we were talking about in the context of COVID and people feeling small. Well, I took that, I was trying to relate that. I guess I'm trying to relate the perception of fear or the perception of a threat and the response of fear to what the actual circumstance is. So I guess in the case of COVID, people might, they would fear getting sick. So one could, stay isolated and not interact with people and
Yes.
and then make a bunch of accusations of other people and conspiracy theories or whatever of how it came about, right? That's one approach to dealing with the problem.
Yes, but there will always be a fear. If you wish to hide, you will find something to fear that you believe is the reason for your hiding. That is why you can spend your entire life hiding, because when one thing is finished, you'll find another and another and another. You may hide your entire lifetime from one fear to the next to the next. Sometimes you're alone with the fear, sometimes it's a group with the fear. Doesn't matter. You, if you wish to hide, will hide. If you wish to feel energetically connected to humans and the universe of love, which is the same thing, you will do so no matter what is happening in your earth.
Mm-hmm.
If you desire more than anything else connection to the energy of others, you will find a way, just the same as if you wish to find fear, you will find a way.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever way you choose, this is how you will be living your life there.
Okay. All right. So that's more of an approach. All right. Maybe I misunderstood the relationship in the earlier comments, but that puts it in more context. So moving on then. So if you let's say somebody has feels a strong connection to humanity and to the universe of love and is putting their trust in the universe of to guide them and help them through difficult situations, I guess, and guide them. I guess my question is, to what extent can you place that trust without you having to take affirmative action to avoid something occurring?
Well, this is a bit convoluted. So
Difficult.
precisely what you're asking is not clear, but we will confirm something or correct something here. The word trust is not necessary to be used with the universe of love. The universe of love is a remembering of something you know inside of you.
Mm-hmm.
No one is asking you, no possible outside force asks you to believe in it. They only ask you to remember what your truth is. If the outside force tell you something, believe this is the truth, it is not necessarily the truth. Only you will know. So when you speak of the universe of love, this is only for a remembering for you. Don't believe anything we say about the universe of love. Check inside of you and see if it's true. For many have been deceived down this road where they have this word trust is not really helpful in any discussion that we have, any energetic exchange we have. That word is not useful, because it is implying that you must believe in something that you don't know is true or not. What we say is, you know your truth, it's inside of you, and you must uncover it yourself or not. Always inside. So if you speak of truth, you only know your own truth. You don't know the truth for anyone down the street or across or anything. You don't know, you only know your own truth. So you don't, there's no, it's impossible for you to trust something, because therefore, with you doing this statement, can I trust that thing? You're making yourself vulnerable to something that even the word itself has a bit of ego attached to it. This is the truth, that is not the truth. This is the truth, this is not. So there's ego involved in that, because you must prove what is true and then disprove it. So it's a human mind game, this word and this idea that one person knows and the rest do not. This is an old-fashioned idea that never worked and has led many to negative times in their life and mistrust. So trust always leads to mistrust, because nothing is 100%. Nothing is foolproof unless you know it deep inside of you. And if we were to ask you, we're not going to in this exchange, but if you were to look deep inside of you, there are some things you know absolutely, that you would not falter on these. They are absolute truths for you. You know them. That's the same with all other humans. So no one, particularly us, do have no intention of telling you anything that you must believe. We will exchange energy. That is absolutely fine. We are here to let you understand that you are heard, and we're curious and you're curious, and we will interact in this way and exchange energy. We will never tell you something is right and something is wrong. As soon as you hear that, you can have some alarm bells going off, and you better head for the hills.
Well, let me give you an example of where I was going, or what I was trying to cover with the question. So we've had some people that would participate in these sessions, are interested and would like to participate, but are choosing not to because if somebody sees them, being part of the session, they could use that as a way to ridicule them, or use it in a negative way somehow against them, right? You could, some people would see this as working with the devil, and that they're doing something you shouldn't be doing, and they can feel quite strongly about it. People that raise these accusations can feel so strongly about it, it could bring harm to, like, professional harm to people. And in the old days they would burn you at the stake for doing it. So it can have repercussions. So when I say trust, I say, what we talked about while we were making these videos and we're putting them out there, and you told us, well, don't worry about how they get distributed. People will find them in time as they need to. We're just making the material and making it available. So in that, we're trusting that you're going to do a part of it, but at the same time, by making them, that we're not going to be negatively affected by it, because we're doing it, in the spirit of others.
You have gotten the idea that you will not be injured if you are doing good work for humans. This is a notion that you have.
Mm-hmm.
It is not true, is it?
I don't
there
know.
There are many who do work for others and are harmed for it.
Okay.
So we will walk you through this process. There are no guarantees with your other situation that you said about one human that possibly would be ridiculed. They will be ridiculed. If there's someone who wishes to ridicule them, they will find a way to ridicule them. It's similar to what we have discussed a moment ago. If you wish to, the ones who live in fear, if you wish to live in fear, you will find it. If someone is going to ridicule you, they will find a way to do so. Now, that is one part of this. The other part is that what is happening here is an energetic exchange with no knowledge of where and how it will turn out. That's the faith part. That's the hope part. That's you showing up with your inner self that has driven you in some manner to have this interaction. There's something inside of you that says you must come, we must participate. There's something inside of you, and that little bit that's inside of you is your higher self. It's your connection to the universe. It's your connection with other humans. It's the goodness that resides in each human that wishes to do the right thing, wishes to be of service to humanity. So you have this very strong within you. But what you have missed was that you cannot predict the outcome. Those who were burned at the stake, they knew that was a possibility, and yet they could not withhold that part inside of them that needed to do this thing. It was a strong calling inside. I must do this no matter what. This is the hope. This is the faith. So you will not know the outcome of any of these good deeds you do, but your satisfaction, the happiness, the joy you will feel will be because you have allowed your inner higher self to come forth. That's what all of this is about. You have said, come on out. Come on out to play, and let's see what we can find. Let's see what's out here for us to get into. Let's just see. And that's all you know. That's all you're supposed to know. All you're supposed to know is you show up with this strong desire. If without the strong desire, you would not be involved in the situation. You would be off playing, kicking a ball around or doing something else. You would not be having an extreme situation that is not typical of human experience. But you yourself have this strong yearning inside. So what you get is your yearning noticed. You get it. You allow it to come out, and this is what you'll get. This is your prize or your positive reaction. Is this? Do you understand?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, it's a way of finding out information and learning. So
but you keep taking it back to the learning. You think it's about knowing things, and because you've been trained this way to know things, learn things you can hold in your hand. But what we are saying is the longing that is inside of you and all others is to be connected to love and energy, love energy. That's what's happening here. Your mind is telling you, we're going to learn something new, but your heart is saying, let's play, let's come out. Let's be alive. Let's live this life.
Okay.
This is truly what's happening here. This is a love exchange.
So in the change topic slightly, in the past video, you made the comment that when we connect with the universe, we can do all things.
Yes.
Can you talk about that a little bit more?
You may know all things. When you say do all things, that doesn't mean you can knock this wall down by looking at it. We don't mean you can do all things. What we are saying is when you are connected to the universe of love, you are connected then to universal intelligence. As you're able to quiet your mind and almost leave your body behind, you always know that you have a body to come back to. But as you come out of yourself, you become immersed in universal intelligence and oneness with all being. It's a state of consciousness. When you're in this place, things seem very easy. Ideas will come easily in and out of you. Humans or events will happen in front of you, and you'll say, oh, isn't that nice? You'll notice all of a sudden that life is easier when you're in this flow. You have very little ego. So therefore, you don't always have to think and plan what's next. You may stumble upon beauty, truth, information. It's quite complicated and yet very simple. It's complicated for you because you have used your brain, and it is quite well versed in sorting through things intellectually. It's not about allowing life to unfold. There are others who are interested in allowing life to unfold, but there is less and less human decision making. So you don't get the goodies without letting go of the human life. And this is often not the case while humans live their life there, because you're living a life to see what you can get into. So what you are asking really is, can I have my human life and can I be a non-physical at the same time? So there are many humans that come into life, you don't know what's going to happen. Oh boy, what's going to happen this time? Sometimes you spend your time using your brain, and sometimes you get someone in this part and you decide that you wish to be connected with the universe of love and forego this human experience as much. So you have access to it, but not without a price, without a human price to pay, which is letting go of the life. And your life is is fun. It's exciting. It's adventure. You see?
Mm-hmm.
So it is not always, you can't really have it all.
Well, if I'm understanding correctly, you're only letting go for the moment or for a period of time to allow, but you're still going to, I would expect, you're still going to continue on. You still have to go to work the next day and do
Yes.
whatever you have to do.
Yes. It's the letting go that is not always possible. Letting go of ideas, thoughts, opinions, and coming out of that and settling far above your life. It's seeing life in a different way, a higher way, a way that is not so connected to outcomes, not connected to the decisions if they pass or fail. They don't really care if they pass or fail. So it's a different letting go. It's an extreme example for most.
So this would be like it when you say letting go, then you'd be in a meditative state. Is that what we would?
Yes,
break
that
into?
would be the very beginning. Yes, meditative is the very beginning. You almost become out of yourself. You leave your body sitting and you reverse out of it. Now there are many that you're interested in this because you're interested in odd things and new ideas, but this is not the experience for the majority of humans.
Mm-hmm.
They did not come into physical form to leave it. They came into physical form to play.
Mm-hmm. So would this be like an out of body experience where you are?
It is similar to this. You would call it this, yes.
Okay. I don't think I've consciously had one, so I can't make an opinion on it. But
It might not be your experience.
okay.
You're not finished with your time yet, but it might not be a real priority for you. A real priority for you is gaining information to share with others. I know this, I know that, and now I figured this and I found this. If you're this kind of searcher that's always looking for things to share with others, you're not focused on letting your life go. You have a different direction, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So, this information gathering is often not for you, it's for the others. You're asking for someone else. In a way, you're intrigued by it, but you're far too curious and you want to know too many things. So this will not be the route for you.
The meditative state, brute, you mean, or out of body?
Yeah. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess I see it as if you can understand how things work or the principles behind things, then you can discover new things, new aspects of things that we never thought about. Much like the questions that I'm asking, it's okay, if this is connected and that's connected, then what can A and C connect?
Yes, this is the way your brain functions. So the other that you're speaking of is the opposite of the way your brain functions, and your brain is just fine as it is. So we will continue with these discussions, and perhaps they will not all apply to you.
Okay. Yeah. Good. So when I was listening to the discussion, the last discussion that we had, and we were talking about coming into humanity and this idea of being in a tower, like or ice, I guess the haves and the have-nots, or the people in the tower and the people who are eating nuts and putting flowers in their hair, as you said. And that humanity, we're trying to evolve humanity, but humanity is kind of stuck in this survival mode. I was thinking about that, and I thought, well, if everybody's coming in and we have this higher energetic self that's much greater than we are, why is it we keep following this path for so long if there's a different way to approach being a human? But then it got me thinking, well, you refer to humans as humans, almost like as a something like that we're on a different, I interpret like we're on a kind of a different path, and you're obviously trying to help us with that. So, I come back to this idea of, well, if we're coming in as this greater knowing energy, and that's part of everybody, why doesn't it influence humanity more than it has?
So, as you are speaking of the way you have described this existence is that there's something negative about it. There's something, humans are not living up to their potential. Humans are not evolving as they should or can or they're capable of. You have an idea there's something wrong with that. And we never imply that. We would say that your life is as valued as the one that is sweeping the street and sleeps there, because you are not all to evolve. Just as we spoke a moment ago, how you're not all going to float into the atmosphere and become one with universal intelligence. There would be no reason to have a life on the earth if you're all going to be like this. Mm-hmm. Then you might as well stay in non-physical. You are all coming to earth to see what you can do, to see what you can get into. So maybe you'll remember something, maybe you'll remember a little, maybe you won't remember anything. It doesn't matter. So there's no difference between those locked in a tower and those sitting on the grass with eating nuts. There's no difference between them. They're each coming to have an experience. And if there's no difference between humans, then there's no greater or lesser or more enlightened or less enlightened. And you will, those who are more enlightened would agree with this and understand exactly what is being said here. As you remember and become enlightened and leave who you are, that could be your experience in this lifetime. Good for you. If your experience is to ruin your body and pass away early, good for you. You understand? It does not mean that those in the tower are less than those sitting eating nuts. Mm-hmm. They are of equal value. And you have this ideal notion that humans should be the best that they can be. This is some vision that you're given as a child to you. You be the best you can be. Not all humans receive this message. This is a message you have received, and now you think all of the humans have received it. They have not. Many have received good luck. Maybe you'll make it, probably not. There are many different messages received. And in this way, your earth is always changing, growing, failing, winning, but nonetheless, it's always moving in some direction. Really, you're not a whole lot better than you were a long time ago. When they burned the witches, they might still, as you refer, do the same thing today. If you were in a different situation, you could also be slightly different. It won't burn you, but they will reject you. You're an outsider. Same thing. So before, now, you're in fear then of different things. You're in fear now of dying of something. You were in fear before of dying of something. Just a different something. So really, mankind is just like this, shuffling around, seeing what can happen, passing on, coming back. Do you see? It's a much different attitude expressed from this side than you have. Do you feel it? Can you hear it? Do you see the difference in this idea that mankind should be better? They know the inner truth. No, they don't. Some do, most don't. So it's very different. You're coming from a very different place. And not all humans, by the way, wish others to evolve. There are some humans who take great pleasure in keeping other humans small and down. So they may express, so their ego may be developed, or it may become stronger. And as they are given power, the ones who give up their power to them learn something also. They learn that they are powerless. They're victims of life, and they've given their power away. So they've learned that. The ego, the big ego human, he's learned that he can control humans by fear. They've learned that. Humans are always learning something. It's just not always this enlightenment. They're learning they can abuse their body, and that their bodies can die before they're of a normal age. All humans are learning something. It's just not always pretty. Not pretty by your eyes, but in the bigger picture, everyone's doing something. They're living and dying in certain ways. They're learning things. Be a victim, be an egomaniac, whatever it is you're learning. But they're certainly not all learning to be enlightened beings on the earth. The ones who are interested in this exchange are.
And okay, so um, let's put a little different spin on the question then. If we're, is it correct to say that once we pass on and go back into the universe of love as a non-physical, that we're then all knowing and
Oh yes, of
lose
course.
ego, and there is this sense of connection, and we're coming
Yes,
from a different place, let's say. Nobody's trying to put anybody down or
yes,
be in survival mode, right? So we have that shift then would take place with somebody.
yes. As you leave your human body, your ego and mind stays there. And now your higher self, your soul self, your love.
So what's the purpose of then of, or the desire to want to evolve as a human? And if there's no point in it, you must just come here and do whatever you feel like, and we'll go
If,
back and do it again the next time.
yes. If it's your calling, you will do it. If it's the thing you can't resist, that draws you more than anything else, then you will do this.
Well,
You'll have a hard time believing this. But those who wish to evolve will. Those who don't wish to evolve won't.
okay, so what do they evolve to? When you say they're going to evolve, what do they become when they become most evolved? What's the end point?
Yes. It would be this ease through life. Walking easily through life, knowing that you are having a human experience. All of the things we have said many, many, many times over and over are for you just to show up and enjoy what's in front of you. For that's your life. That's what you have. No matter what it looks like, that's what you have invited in. That's what you wish to see. For you to slow down and see this thing and enjoy it and immerse yourself into it until you notice that your mind is not involved any longer. All of a sudden, you're in a different place then. When you're envisioning, when you're looking at some flower, for instance, if you're staring at it and you're looking at it, you're smelling it, you are one with it, you are energetically connected to it. Your brain is not working. Your brain and ego are set aside for the time you are one with this flower, we'll say. Then you begin to understand what you truly are, which is energy, and you're connected to all things. This is enlightenment. This is living moment by moment and allowing yourself to become one. Sounds so simple, doesn't it? And yet it's very difficult.
Yeah,
Very
the
difficult to
description
live
is
this way.
simple, but I guess I come back to, well, what's the point of that? It's like I feel like I appreciate my life greatly for how it's gone and where I am now. I'm loving the opportunity to spend my time to do things like this that follow my interest rather than having to.
And this is the point. This is the point, to enjoy each moment. That's all there is. You don't get a gift, you don't win, you don't lose. You enjoy each moment. That is the gift. And this is what we have spoken of earlier. Your gift is that knowing, that ease, that sense of de-stressing. It's humans have gotten so tight that the de-stressing is noticed now. When the shoulders drop and the breath is easy, that's when they notice, I must be in alignment. which means most of the time is spent otherwise. When you notice the coming down, the oneness with nature, the air that breathes through you, the ease in your body slowing down, then you know you're in alignment. That is your gift. That's all there is. There's no payment in life. You can't get it right or wrong.
Okay.
You just live it.
All right. So just to change gears slightly, people refer to the shift in the earth to a fifth dimensional earth, and more this connection of people feeling this connection with the universe and with each other, as opposed to being in the survival mode of I need more than you need.
Let us correct right here. There are always those who are open to energy and the universe of love, spirit, non-physical, but they have not always spoken of it. But there are no larger numbers now. There always were those who are very easy with spirit and non-physical. Well, it may continue with your story, but it is not a larger shift. It's nothing like this. It's always been like this because it's part of you. There's some humans who remember, some who don't. Some who are open to feeling it, but they kept it secret. Now there are more of you talking about things. Humans talk about everything now. So now you may speak about it, but it doesn't mean there's more of you. It means there's a place for it and more of a place to speak of it.
Okay, I'm specifically talking about readings that I've done where many people are professing that the earth is going to shift into a different frequency. Like we're seeing the Schumann resonance of the earth has gone off the scales beyond anything that's ever happened in the past. So they talk about the age of Aquarius, of going through this old paradigm and shifting into a new age for the earth, and so it sounds like that's just all man-made, a man-made story.
We do not know what it is you're actually referring to. So these are notions, perhaps, that others have retrieved from elsewhere, that is not from the universe of love.
Well, perhaps not. Perhaps it's become kind of like a religion. This is part of the thing of, trying to understand what's truth and what isn't. So
and again, that must be felt inside of you. So as this exchange happens, each thing we are to say is for you to see if it's truth for you or not. Same as these other items you mentioned. You would have to check inside yourself to know if they are true. For it is not your way, or really the way of your time on your earth, to believe without questioning. That was an old time where humans had to believe those in power. Now things are now, there's more space for truth, therefore more space for lies. So it's not that those who have ego and lie and still wish to control others have gone anywhere. They will never go anywhere. That's part of the human experience, a victor and a victim. That's just the way it is with humans. They will always be around. They just change their story. They will always be wishing to oppress others while they're alive. And there are always willing victims who wish to become victims. So as much as there's more space for humans to say, speak their truths in this way, there are many lies being mixed in with the truths. And this is why it's important for you to always check inside to see what's true for you. Because humans have egos, you see, and they are opportunists. So if there's something that comes about that's hot, that humans want to talk about, then opportunists will notice this and take it. They'll say, I may create some victims if I take this and put it in a certain way.
Mhm.
So always it's important for you to check for yourself to see what is true and what is not.
If you, it's hard to know because if you'd asked me 2 years ago, would it be possible to have a discussion like this? I would have said you're out of your mind. I would
Yes,
have
and,
just felt like there was no way that that could happen, right? But, perhaps that's my logical mind coming in, but
but also it was the truth at the time. No, your answer was no. Now your answer is yes. So it's the truth for the moment. You don't have to have the same truth from the beginning to the end. That's impossible. But you have a truth for the moment. And that's what you can check into. Is this true for me? No. Is this true for me? Yes. Right now.
okay, let's I'm going to rely on intuition maybe a little more, but okay.
Do you wish to speak of anything else?
Well, on the very much earlier videos, we talked about different kinds. I was asking about different kinds of energies that exist, and you said it was a very complex topic, so we didn't drill much into that. And I'm interested in the some of the history of the universe and how the universe came about. Like, for instance, I've always been curious why our moon doesn't rotate. It's the only one of the only. It's not really a planet. It's sort of a planet. It's a planetary body, let's say, but it doesn't rotate the same way as all the other planets do. So why is that?
So this would be your question to ask to those who study moons.
And everybody has a different theory on it. So
there is no answer to your question. And yet you're still curious. In these discussions, would you like to speak of anything else?
Well, I thought you said I could ask any kind of question.
Of course you can ask whatever you like.
All right. All right. One of the things I was thinking about this afternoon was the plight of women over the years. We've created this society where it's very male dominated society, and I mean women have literally been property not that long ago, and I guess it's the concept of another human being and seeing them as your equal, and they being able to work with them much like in a marriage, right, where you're each bringing different skills to the table, but collectively you're able to do more than either individual would be.
Possibly. Sometimes that's not always the case when there are joinings of energy. Sometimes they are joined together to take from the other person until they are nothing, and the other is built up higher. They're not always equal, these unions. Depends what the motive
That's
is.
true. I guess I'm talking about it in perhaps a more of an altruistic relationship between a man or woman in marriage, or two men or two women. Now it's kind of more or less relevant, but I guess my point is around women and how I'd be curious as to how women have factored into the evolution of mankind and where you see that going.
There's no difference in energy between these species, sexes that you speak of. You are energy to the universe.
Mm-hmm.
We are not concerned or perhaps knowledgeable about what being you profess to be, because you are eternal. So you are perhaps what you look like now. You certainly don't look like that through all eternity. So when there is this sort of humans deciding another human is inferior or superior, that has to do with the human ego. It has nothing to do with the universal love or the energy that's inside, because energy is not, energy is not one of these sexes that you speak of. It is not a color or a way of moving through the world. Energy is energy. Now, what you are speaking of is how human egos have decided to oppress others throughout all of your evolution. And of course they do. We have spoken of it a moment ago, how there's always an ego, always a victim. These experiences are the way that humanity has decided to move as a group. Predators, egos, victims, all of these roles you see. So as far as energy goes, there's absolutely not one of you that is more valued than the other, either because of the sex of you, the color of you, your occupation, or the way you live your life. All human lives are of equal value. It is mankind who decides if they wish to oppress or victimize others. But that's the way of human life there. It just changes. So they will oppress one this time, someone else later. It's just the way of your human, the humans are in your place. When they're finished with one race or species, not species, one race, they'll oppress a different one for some other reason not known yet. And then after that, there'll be another and another. It's the way of being, of existing in the world there. There must be someone with the ego to control, and others must be victims. You understand? Mm-hmm. It's not pretty to believe, but if you looked all the way through human life, that's just the way of it there.
Right.
So it doesn't matter if it's what you say, different sex, because there's also other problems, colors and jobs and all of these things. There's always someone large and someone small.
No, that's true. When you think about it in the grander scheme of history, that's true. I was just, I guess what's thrown me off the discussion here is that we're not evolving like there's no effort as a group to evolve into something more.
And this you have great difficulty with.
Yeah.
And that's why you continue these discussions and you dig and you dig and you dig. And in the end you say, why aren't we better than we are? Because you're not. Because you're humans. You are a little better than you were yesterday, weren't you? You yourself, you have evolved for a little bit from one day to the next. That has been your choice. So it is not the choice of others. And we hate to say this, but it's not your business what they choose. Every human has their own right, has their own choice to evolve, not evolve, live, pass, oppress others. All of that is decided by each human. And yet you have this great heart in you that wishes everyone to be happy. Let's all be friends and have a lovely time of it. It will never be on your earth. It is not the way it is designed.
Well, it comes back to my earlier comments I made in my earlier interactions here that, the population is growing. We're putting more and more pressure on the earth with causing climate change and climate collapse. At some point, if we don't start thinking differently, we'll just be an extinct species.
And yes, of course. And you have this idea, you see that humans should be better, the world should be better. And yet the universe of love adores each and every one, no matter what they're doing, no matter what happens on your earth. It's this experience you're there for. It's the experience of it.
Well, hopefully the experience can continue. I have doubts.
Yes, but moment by moment for you and your existence, you will try to evolve as long as you're interested in this exchange and as long as you're interested in evolving. As soon as you decide that's enough for me, then you may go back to your big ego or your clean your car. You may decide any moment, and that will be all right as well. For you will decide only each moment how you will live there. And you will not be judged as right or wrong or evil if you make a different decision. These are big notions for you. For you have been told, and many, that you must live a certain way, be a good human, the world will be good, blah, 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 like this. It is not absolutely true in the universe.
So if you go through a life like this and you develop or evolve yourself to the point that you were talked about, you described as the evolved human who feels very connected and living by the moment and everything. And then when you go back to the universe of love as a non-physical, does it make any difference? Like, does that
No.
that evolvement, does that carry forward in the next life in any way?
Not at all. Not when you arrive. When you arrive, you are one again. You're all one. Now there might be a little bit of chatting about who's going to jump into what life. There might be a bit of that on the other end of it. When you arrive there, you come for a big breath and remembering, oh, right, this is what we are. This is how we are. This is how we can be together. There are many that are so impatient they're back into a human life before you even have a breath taken. I want to go back. I want to jump into that life over there. Before there's time to enjoy the peace and ease. This is why you have seen so many humans there. That's why there's so many. The non-physical, when you're non-physical, you want to be in human having an experience. And that's who you run up against all over the place in your world. Humans who can't wait to have another go at it. We will complete this discussion now.
Yes, that's great. Thank you. You've given me lots to think about.
Namaste.
Absolutely.
Namaste.
Namaste.